Hello and welcome to this video hop, a collab between Altenew and Picket Fence. There are prizes to win, so definitely hop along and visit each creator's video, like, share and subscribe. For my card today, I am using a 6-inch square cardstock and I'm playing with the Graceful Magnolias stamp set from Picket Fence. I have adhered my cardstock on my Stampwheel 2.0, just centered it well, and I am flipping my top plate and just placing one of the flowers and two leaves from the stamp set to create a little composition. Now I've flipped the plate because it's easy for me to see how I start and where I line it up, and then I can use my obsidian ink from Altenew and just add that ink and stamp this cluster by flipping the plate again and having that on my cardstock. So a clear flip plate really works and comes handy for this purpose. Now I'm going to be creating some sort of a wreath and I am flipping my top plate and I realize that it's going to overlap. So at this stage, I'm just bringing a scrap piece of cardstock and stamping this entire cluster with black ink on that, using my scissors to fussy cut that out so that I have created a mask and I can avoid that overlapping. Now you could definitely use the masking paper from Altenew. I just didn't have it handy and I therefore used cardstock, and I adhered the cardstock with Altenew's satin tape, and that worked the same way as well. So putting my floral mask down in place, I am then rotating the flip plate, and you will see I use that hole at the top as a guide, and I am just going across all the four sides and stamping this. So I make sure that the hole is once at the top, once at the right, once at the bottom, once at the left, centered in, and that way I have four clusters stamped. Now here I have 2.5-inch squares, 4 pieces on all four corners, and I'm stamping the other flower from the same stamp set. And again, one go, I'm able to flip the plate, just rotate it and stamp. That way, one shot I have 4 of these flowers stamped on these tiny cardstock pieces, and that's the reason why I lined them up on the 4 corners. I'm playing with the Mystic Garden and Mediterranean Terrace Garden set artist markers from Altenew to color my floral images. So here is a look at the shades that I'm using. So I've picked out 2 shades of purple for one set of the flower, 2 shades of blue for the other flower, and then 2 shades of green for the leaves. Now all of these products are going to be listed in the description box below, so you could take a look at those. And I am going to just zoom in and give you a peek at how I'm going to color these florals. I'm just showing you one flower with the purples, one with the blues and one with the green, and I repeat that same process for all of these off camera. I start with the lighter of the 2 colors that I've chosen, and I just add flicks of it on my petals. I go from the base outwards, and then once I have the light color down in place, I introduce the darker color, again just flicking the marker, bringing that shading and depth. Now once I have the darker color placed in the similar way from the inside of the petal outwards, I then add a little detail to accentuate the folds of the petals by going in with the darker color from the tip inwards. I repeat the same step with the lighter color to just blend it in wherever I have added more of the darker color, and that really creates a nice shaded look for this flower. Now setting that aside, I'm going to now move ahead and repeat the same process on the other magnolia using the blue markers. So starting with the light marker, I'm adding flicks on the petals, and you will see I keep rotating my piece of paper so that I can add flicks in the same direction as the petals move. So that's the key here. I'm just flicking from inside of the petal outwards, making sure that I follow the movement of the petal, the curve of the petal, and that just makes it more realistic. So adding all of that beautiful shading down in place. I'm sorry, I move a little out of view when I'm rotating and coloring that bottom petal. And once I have that lighter color in place, I'm going to bring in the darker color, same way like I did with the previous flower, and add the depth and details. This really brings that entire flower to life. And I also add a few flicks from the tips of the petal inwards, just mimicking the folds of the petal. And I think that is what makes a huge difference. So repeating that same step on all the petals, I have colored that and I'm moving on to the leaves. Repeating the same process, I am going to start from one side of the leaf and add the flicks. So I'm going to do that from both ends and then bring in the darker color just to complete the shading. I definitely leave a lot of white space on the petals and the leaves because I think that adds natural highlights. So I've used the coordinated die and just die cut the smaller flowers, the ones that I colored in purple. And I'm bringing my stamp wheel back, repositioning my main card panel with the 4 flower and leaf cluster, and using sentiments from the same stamp set, I am going to align it in the center and stamp that with obsidian ink. I'm going to use instant dimension foam tape from Altenew behind the other die cut flowers to create a little depth and dimension, and I'll adhere these between 2 flowers on my card panel. So that way I have a lot of depth dimension going on and my wreath looks complete. So once I have laid all of that down, I just need to embellish it. I'm going to use some sequins from Picket Fence Studios and add that. And I'm just adding that to embellish the entire card through and through in threes around each of the floral cluster. So that way the sequence also brings about a sense of movement across my card, and it seems like that wreath is flowing and moving all around. So I'm mixing up the colors, just mixing the blues and the purples and the green, coordinating with the colors I've used for the florals. Once that's done, the final step, adding white and black splatter. I absolutely love that, and I think it adds that mixed media organic touch. Now that is a closer look at this card, and I really hope that I have managed to inspire you today. Again, a reminder to hop along, like, share and subscribe and comment on each creator's video to enter the giveaway. Here is a second card I created using the same flower stamp and the same set of markers but different colors, and I paired it with this iridescent sequence, and the background I used Altenew's patent petal stencil, but just 2 of those stencils to create a nice ink blended background. With that, this tutorial comes to an end, and I look forward to seeing your creations and inspiration, and I will see you on social media. Until the next time, take care and bye bye.